Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rest is Lean podcast, your bi-monthly, always struggle with that term, twice a month, podcast that is for people who enjoy, are interested in, are involved in lean, continuous improvement, OPEX. And as always, I'm John D, and I'm joined by my colleagues and friends in the same world, Alan Lothian and Russell Watkins.
Hello all.
So, folks, where are we starting today? I thought might start off with thank you to everybody who's emailed us in recently with questions, comments, general abuse. We enjoyed all. And I just wanted to bring one of them out. It's from one of our more anonymous contributors, and it was particularly aimed towards Russell, and that was Russell. I enjoyed the last podcast. You used a term though that I was unfamiliar with when discussing the KPIs that you might use and display. You talked about a 1-3-10 system. Can you expand upon that, please?
No, yes, I can. Yes, I can. A quick caveat though. Can you be more anonymous? Surely that's a binary state. You're either anonymous or not, John. But
some are easy to guess, and some are truly mysterious.
But yeah, 1-3-10. 1-3-10 refers to seconds in time. 1 second, 3 second, 10 seconds. It's a really good Toyota approach to how do you structure your visual board? So imagine you have an SQD board or a SQDIP board. So a maybe 2 meter by 1 meter board in landscape, and at the top you have your SQDCP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is, what do you put below them? Because the purpose of collecting and visualizing data is not to collect and visualize data. It is to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
First level, you have a series of 1 second charts, then 3 second, then 10 second. The 1 second might be like a run chart of some kind. Days of the month along the bottom, metric along the side, and you just plot every day where you are against your target on S or Q.
Mm-hmm.
The next level down will be your Pareto of the lack of hitting that target, which is your 3 seconds. Excuse me. And the next level after that will be the actions you're taking, the top 3 actions you're taking, for example. Why 1-3-10? Because you should be able to grasp off the board, you mosey up to it, within 1 second, you should be able to see, are we on target or behind?
Mm-hmm.
Within 3 seconds, you should be able to know what is the biggest problem that's making us miss the target.
Mm-hmm.
And within 10 seconds, you should be able to establish who is doing what about that by when.
Yeah.
Like it.
And it's a nice little ditty for knowing how mature and simple and clear your visual board is.
Mm-hmm. Nice one. Don't you feel you go into so many organizations, you hit the nail on the head there, Russell, about it's not to show off or share information or purely, it is about getting stuff done. How often do you see the graphs, right? But no action pertaining to any of it.
Yeah. And it becomes a habit. People think complexity is a good thing. My friends, complexity is a crude state. Yeah. Simplicity is what we're after.
Exactly.
Because to get from complexity to simplicity, you got to try some stuff and refine your thinking.
I was just going to say that I'm familiar with another mnemonic that's kind of similar to yours. It was variations, but 1-3-3 is the one that sticks in my mind. And the idea of that is you should be able to walk to any board and in 1 minute from 3 feet away, be able to tell what the 3 biggest issues are in that area.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's a nice little test, if you like, for a team leader to go and walk to another team leader's board and see, can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Or for an external to walk up to a board and say, can you do that? Yeah. Or to challenge the management team in their own business, can you do that?
Yeah.
Quite an interesting little thing.
That's really good, that, John, because there's a lot of self-learning then, isn't it? Self-development for each of the team leaders, for example.
And it picks out, some companies have boards or displays which are very detailed, and you kind of want to go, oh, look at all that. but they don't work on the from 3 feet away.
Yeah.
That brings in the visual management side and the quick organization in people's heads of, yeah, loads of info, I better ignore it. I've only got one chance to do this. I've got 1 minute from 3 feet away. So you're drawn to it. It's quite nice. It's 133.
It's a lovely one, John, and it takes us to two interesting places if you want to go there. One is the broader understanding of visual management beyond boards, because boards are just a part of it.
Yes.
And another one is a philosophical explanation of how you know whether your visual managements are good. So, like people who are of the same mindset as me, I drank the Kool-Aid, and for a while I thought visual management was visual boards early on in my career, until I realized that a red tag is visual management, a min max on a sight gauge is visual management.
Yes.
You know the body is an autonomic system. So autonomic means that if you hurt
I'm
yourself,
a real boy. I don't know what you are.
if you hurt yourself, your central nervous system finds out, your brain finds out and reacts with pain. The view was that the factory should be an autonomic system. If there is pain somewhere, you should have visual management so that the brain finds out.
Yeah.
Or to put it more poetically, as you turn towards a visual management device, it should be like feeling the wind on your face, which is actually really nice in terms of. But the way that when I train people in area patrol and Gemba walk, I say, you'll have your area visual enough when you can walk around your span of control and without breaking step, hunting for paperwork or asking a question, you know what you've got to tackle that's causing you pain.
Interesting.
I'm sure you've both got a variety of that.
Yeah.
Well, what was the posh word you used, Ross? The autonomic.
Yeah, the body is an autonomic system. It's
Autonomic
a central nervous system.
So for me, just listening to your description there, it's a bit like what we used to have, what we call them tier boards at Eton.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got your tier one, which is your cell level maybe, or workstation level. Then you've got departmental level, and then you've got senior management level, for example. So, but one thing that lends itself to, then got me thinking about, for that to happen, there needs to be chains of escalation.
Yeah.
And then it's something which I know we've had conversations about in the past around the right sort of escalation. But what we had to break initially was the culture of it. It was too easy to escalate.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the danger was it just meant that everybody higher up in the food chain was just swamped, thinking they were going to fix everything. And it's about changing that, changing that behavior. And in some cases, for me, it was just throwing it back and saying, guys, I don't know the answer to this. You're far closer to this than I am. Tell me what you need, all right, and I'll support you every step of the way. But I can't fix it for you because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Well, it screams volumes, doesn't it, about the culture within the business, the behavior within the business.
Al, escalation is really important. I'm with you, and it's one of the things that tends to get overlooked about, because it comes into what is the purpose of a team leader or cell leader or supervisor role, because they should be able to handle some stuff and they should escalate some stuff. If they're not handling some stuff, what's the point? But if they are shouting into the abyss for help and nobody's answering, then that's a different problem. And the escalation thing, I very often found, in fact, I still find to this day, that managers who complain that they're either getting stuff escalated too late when the world's on fire, or everything, it's their own fault because they haven't set in escalation protocols.
Yeah.
As simple as, if a breakdown goes on for more than an hour on any machine, or on a key machine for more than 30 minutes, call me. Or if an accident occurs, I want to know immediately. Or if you have, I don't know, 5 defects in a row or 3 in an hour. Then when somebody escalates something outside of it, you say, you remember the escalation rules? And you've chosen to escalate this differently to that. Why have you done that? And what have you done to do it? There's a fellow I know who's been an ops manager for years, Steve. He's currently fighting triple cancer and he's winning. But He said to me, Russ, and we did it. He said, I want to set up some training for the team leaders with scenarios. And the first thing on the scenario is the phone network's gone down
Hmm.
because he recognized that in the age of text and instant communication, escalation laziness has gone too far.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's a problem, have it.
Yeah.
But that's a management failing, not a team leader failing.
Correct, correct. And actually, I wish, obviously, wish Stephen well, there, Russ,
Mm.
on what he's doing. I think you mentioned a really good point earlier. Is with regards to team leaders, if they've got to have a mix of stuff that they can manage themselves and deal with themselves, and then knowing what bits are out of their scope of influence they need to escalate. All right. You raised a really good point, John, in when we were over at Sub when we did the live session at Subcom. Okay, and it was about where um, a business will put people into positions of leadership or supervisory positions purely based or put a higher weighting on length of service,
Yeah.
without actually giving them the tools and the training of having to be able to empower themselves to actually get things done.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many times do we go into organizations and you see, well, Rod, Jane, and Freddie, they're the three supervisors, but it's because they've been there 20 plus years. They've not had any training.
Yeah.
They've got probably some very good product knowledge and process knowledge. Okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of managing and having to deal upwards and downwards,
Mhm.
they're craving for opportunity, aren't they, to learn?
Yeah.
Would I remember Rod, Jane, and Freddie? Was their manager Bungle or Zippy?
It was Zippy. I preferred Zippy. I was a Zippy, yeah, rather than a George.
Oh, we've learned a lot about Al's management style now. He's gravitated towards the
I was
Zippy,
definitely
but
a
not the
Zippy. I was
George.
Zippy. Yeah, I was Zippy.
George was in
Oh, that's
HR,
fine.
as we know. These are gags for people of a certain
A
age.
certain age, and we won't
Uh,
go where we won't go what Jeffrey was doing.
yeah, you guys are triggering all sorts of thoughts and ideas in my head to share back, and could be careful I don't ramble on.
No, go on, ramble, John.
Ramble. I I do the same things as you guys do, but if I've got a specialism, I would say my specialism is I do tend to spend more time training my replacement than anything, creating the in-house lean professional for businesses. And Russell mentioning this painting this scenario-based training, I think, is a really underused tool, and it's really useful. And I use it a lot when we're doing work with lean facilitators, lean professionals, head of lean, or etc. within companies. Painting that scenario and say, what would you do then?
Yeah.
Is a very valuable tool if you take it seriously. So that was one thing that came at me.
Sorry, John. What kind of scenarios are you?
I might give somebody on a journey to becoming the lean professional in their outfit, sort of chapters in their story that they want to try and achieve. And I might describe one of the earlier chapters is, I don't want you to turn into the guy who trains 5S,
Mm-hmm.
because that is narrow and underusing you, and you won't be valued by the business, and the business won't get the benefits. So I want to broaden out your thinking. And I'll often talk about, you've got to start off by trying to become the nervous system of the business. You should be the person that people will go to and ask, what's going on?
Mm.
What did, we made that announcement. What do they think? We need to make an improvement. Where should we put it? So you need to be kind of wired up to what's going on in the business.
And the reason for that is
the lean professional is possibly the guy within your organization who has got the best access to the truth, because they are not laying down the law. They are not just one of the folks out on the shop floor. They are somebody who knows what's going on in the business.
Mm.
Part of the reason I've got that role is they've got integrity. They can receive information from the shop and pass it on and where appropriate, not expose the individuals who might feel a little bit awkward about approaching people themselves. Maybe one of the next chapters I'll ask people to describe is when you go and speak to your management team and say, well, the biggest issue in the factory is actually in this area, this thing is happening. Might be a quality issue, might be a downtime issue. You want, and this is where the scenarios start to play out again, you want the management team to say, oh, I've seen that. And the key word is, I've seen that. What's going on? That's where you start to bring in your visual management, whether that be boards that apply Russell's 1072, all the prime numbers, or 133 or whatever. And you're training maybe team leaders, and you're doing stuff with 5S and red tags, because when you go and speak to your management team about what's going on, you hope they're going to say, oh yeah, I've seen that. They actually know because the business is communicating to them, and they've been going to the shop floor just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that whole go look see thing is starting to work. And did you actually tell everybody to do all that stuff? Maybe not, but you're kind of puppeteering the whole thing in that direction. What's your opinion, guys? Is enough value put on go to the shop floor by management teams within businesses? Is that an open door, or is it still a challenge?
I think more people are embracing the habit, but they're embracing it grudgingly. But also, I think a number of people are doing it and they're walking around blind. So go look see, Japanese is Genchi Genbutsu, go to the actual place, grasp the actual facts. We can put all kinds of compelling arguments together about the benefit of go look see. Why get off your ass from your chair in the office and go look see?
Yeah.
You're not subject to the interpretation of somebody else and the massaging of the facts. Believe it or not, sometimes that happens. You're likely to learn something and you're going to become better at your job. Your people will see you out there, so you create a stronger team, you're closer to your team, etc., etc.
Build relationships,
Build relationships. It was really eloquently, it jumped out to me. Actually, I was reading a book last night. I've got a few books on time spent in Zen monasteries. This fella, his Zen master had said to him, you never step into the same river twice. And what he meant by that was let's say you live near a river or you go on a regular walk here and you always cross the river at the same point. You may even put your foot in exactly the same place that you did last week or yesterday, but it's a different river because something has changed in the ecosystem. In the same way, you never go onto the same shop floor twice. There is always something new because there's thousands of variables out there. Something has changed. So if you truly want to control your patch and your business and you want to move away from pain, because most people want to move away from pain, the more you grasp what's going on, the more you have the habit of seeing what's going on, the more you recognize the patterns of the river and what has changed and what hasn't. And the more you will be able to see trouble early and help your people and then retain your people. I love that phrase. You never step into the same river twice, because what it says is going down once a month isn't enough. Going down once a week isn't enough. In fact, the moment you turn your back and walk away from a cell, the river is different.
I would say one of the most common throwbacks I have from managers is they say to me, it's all great, this, Al, in terms of making, the time needed to get to Gemba and, really understand. But they say, I work for this large organization and everyone's just throwing meetings into my Outlook. Yeah.
That's a problem.
I'm bombarded with meetings. And I say, I'm sometimes double, triple, even quadruple booked in my calendar. Just look what I've got. Okay. And I'll say, okay, how many of them have you accepted? Oh, well, I've accepted all of them. Well, why? Because forget what we're talking about. If you've got 2 or 3 meetings at the same time, how are you going to go to all three of them? Oh, well, I might jump in one, then drop off for 5 minutes, then jump into the other one. What purpose does that actually serve for you?
That's Muriel. That's
Yeah,
overburden.
exactly, the overburden, right? And I'm saying, it's about understanding which are the things that are most important to you in your role to get stuff done. For example, block an hour in your calendar from every day from next week onwards. Okay, because generally speaking, if you look in the next week, 2 or 3 weeks, your calendar has quietened down. What happens is you get a lot last minute throws of meetings which you're accepting. All right. So get a step ahead now and start creating the cadence that you're dedicating an hour of your time to just go out and look. Okay, for now. All right. Create yourself some time. Okay, because nobody else is going to do that for you. Yeah. And then the next thing is once you've got into the routine of that time, that's when you've got them focused. You've got them in the moment when they're ready to be coached, mentored, trained, however you see fit. Because if they've always got the constant bugbear of 3-4 meetings in their calendar, it doesn't matter when you go to the shop floor because their brain won't be on the topic. Yeah, I don't know if you guys find that as well.
You could even use the word value added there, Al. How
Yeah.
value added. But it's interesting because even if there'll be people shouting now, I can't find an hour, but I'm with you.
Can.
Even if you find 15 minutes a day,
Yeah.
there's a lot of research about the benefits of walking and clarity of thinking. That 15 minutes, just walking around, you will get clearer. You're getting some exercise. You're getting up. It will make you better in the meetings you do attend.
Just your circulation's moving. You get alive, don't you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the double whammy is if you also don't spend it talking. So if you do stop somewhere, for God's sake, don't just spend the time talking and combing somebody else's hair. Just shut up and look.
Yeah.
Just shut up and look. John, have you got a view?
100% behind you guys on this one. I think that I get approached all the time by senior folk who say, I haven't got the time for that. Closely followed by the classic, I've got people for that.
Yeah. That really says a lot.
And what do you do to convince people of this? And one of the lines that you've got to come back with is you need to go to the shop floor, but it's not about all what you need. Some of what you're going to do by going to the shop floor is helping people on the shop floor and changing their attitude towards the management team just by being there.
Yep.
So being seen is part of why you're going. And that sounds really insincere. As long as I walk there, everybody see me, done my thing. But it's a tiny step, but it's a step towards breaking down barriers within the business. People knowing that their bit matters. Russell speaks quite eloquently about folk on the shop floor being expected to do a repeating task every single day and get it right and invest the time and mental effort in something tedious, and it's not valued. Well, tell you what, part of value in it is go see them doing it now and again. Because otherwise I don't even need to look at that. I've got people to check that they're doing that.
John, there is one exception, and the American government tried to develop this a couple of decades ago. There is one exception where you don't need to go look see and go on the shop floor ever, and that's if you can astral travel. If you're able to do remote viewing and move out of your body and move somewhere else. If you've not proven you can do that, you need to go to the shop floor regular.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, unfortunately, human nature means there'll be some bosses out there who have heard what you've said and gone, I hear you, Russell, you're right. So maintenance, get me a Segway and some gaffer tape and a tablet, and I'll have my own virtual presence machine and I can walk around the factory.
Well, okay, Japanese word of the week from somebody who doesn't speak fluent Japanese. There's something ironic in that. But the word of the week is Yamazoomi. Look, happy memories. So
I used to ride one of them to work every week.
Also known as a whippet tricycle.
Done.
Yamazoomi. Yamazoomi literally translates as to pile in heaps. It relates to line balancing of assembly lines, where you look at the relative cycle times of operator to operator, and you see whether the line is balanced well. Balanced well means you can get the product through it, and it's fair for all the operators on there. Line balance efficiency, line balance ratio, optimal manning, etc. To pile in heaps is the act of drawing your line balance chart, putting a scale up the side of time, and then cutting elements off of your work combination table to the right size and piling them in heaps and being able to shift them with the team leader from operator to operator to get a better balance. And if you're really smart, as soon as you Kaizen something, you'll snip a bit off that particular work element and put it in a Kaizen box and visualize the Kaizen you've done.
Yeah.
Yamazoomi.
Wonderful.
Good
I
on
really
you,
like that.
Russell.
I think when it was first told to me, they used a minorly different translation.
Oh, go on.
Stack of cards.
Okay.
Heaps. And I remember saying, why doesn't it translate as line balance? Because mainly that's where it is. And he said, it's part of it's the act. Imagine you've got lots and lots of standard ops, which might look like little plastic pouches full of work instructions and diagrams and bits and bobs. It says, and then you line up your people at your team meeting and you go, right, Russell, you're going to be on station number 1 today. I'm going to give you, and hold your hands out.
Yeah.
1, 2, no, and adds up to 2 more. Sorry, Russell, you're going to have a bit of a lazy day. Right, Alan, 1, 2, 3, and we're adding up to the tact time number below. The mental picture has been very strong in me ever since that.
Gents, do you want the email address for people to write in questions?
We need the
go for
email
it.
address for the next set of interesting questions to trigger us. Russell, what's
Should
our
come
email
from you,
address?
Russ.
I am concerned that our email address is a little bit too long, so I think we need to think about it. But I'll read it anyway.
Okay.
It's why did nobody tell me earlier that Johnny Depp and Rupert Grint had a podcast at gmail.com?
Right. So, as we know, it's always a mistake, but worth doing, asking Russell what the email address for our channel is.
Have you changed it?
Alan, what is the more traditionalist approach to our email address, please?
It was because Warwick Davis and Michael Fassbender weren't available at gmail.com. No, the reality was it's the rest is lean at gmail.com.
Thank you very much. We look forward to your questions and comments, folks. Get involved. We're doing this for this, just for the discussion. Love you lots, and we'll see you again on The Rest is Lean.
Yeah. See you soon, guys. All the best. Take care.